Hello and welcome to Health Bar Half Full, the podcast that makes you feel good about liking games. My name is Randy Fluharty. I will be your host, as if that's different. It's not. I'm always your host. I'm going to be your host next week too. Just be ready for that. Today we're going to talk about our most anticipated games for 2025. We're going to list off our runner-up and then the one we're most excited about as a number one thing. And we're going to get as excited as two laid-back individuals can get, so get ready for that. With me as always, YouTube sensation Adam McDermott.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah, Adam, pardon my language, but how the heck are you?
I am darn well. How are you?
Watch it. We're going to put up a content warning. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good myself. All right, so like people will notice, not the audio listeners, but the video listeners will notice you're squeaky clean on the face. Tell me about it.
Finished recording Death Stranding over the course of about 2 months. Start the game clean shaven, finish it. Big old beard. I don't personally like the beard that long. It affects my sleep. It's rough on the pillow for me. I prefer like a bit of stubble is fine, but then beyond about a week, I kind of like shave it off.
Yeah, you wouldn't know it based on how I look right now, but I also don't like it very much. I don't like having my hair this long. As we discussed last time, there are things that I just need to do for my for myself that I just push off, and maybe in 2025 we will get to it. So, yeah, so that video's coming. You enjoyed yourself. You enjoyed the game.
Yes, it is unlike anything I've played before, and
how long did it take you?
100 hours.
Jeez, is that all right? I'm sure we've had similar discussions before, but that's got to be in the running for.
That's the longest.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty long. Yeah,
that's the longest.
So look forward to that. I'm looking forward to it. Everybody, check out Adam's YouTube channel.
Yeah, it'll be out sometime in the next 6 months.
Doesn't matter. Like that's
I'm doing Elden Ring before it, and that's a monster. I finished the opening today. Like the opening kind of minute.
Okay. Yeah. So wait, your workflow is that you're editing one and recording another? Is that how it works?
Yes. What I do is normally in the morning when I'm fresh, the mind is sparkling. That's when I do all the hard mental lifting. That's the editing or the writing.
Yeah.
So then as the afternoon goes on, I'm like, okay, now maybe I can, like, I got Death Stranding finished. So in the afternoon, then I'd probably like log some footage, but do that for like an hour. Like, okay, here this happened. It's like easy. And then later in the day when I'm like, okay, no great work is going to be done. Now I'm just going to play Cyberpunk, which is the next episode.
Yeah.
So kind of like,
you know what we should do is have an episode on Cyberpunk, because I too have been playing Cyberpunk on and off for the past couple months. So
I am 3 hours in.
Yeah. Are you digging it?
No.
All right. So that'll be a fun conversation to have in this positivity podcast. I was digging it for a long time, and then I kind of fell off. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
I think I'm just inundated with tutorials, and I should have taken, like, I finished Death Stranding, and then the day after I went straight into Cyberpunk.
That's
I think
a lot.
I should have taken a couple. Yeah. So they're throwing new lingo and new lore at me in Cyberpunk. I'm like, hang on, no, I was just in this other world for 2 months.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
You're touching on something, because there are times where I get super overwhelmed by lore. And when I started that game, I'm just going to take this on my own terms. I'm going to read the stuff when I want to and not read the stuff when I don't. If I understand something, great. If not, I'm going to see that as a fault of the game and not a fault of me, and move on. Just see if I can pick it up. And I got most of it. I kind of understand what's going on there, but yeah, maybe we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah. So today I've deliberately not played Cyberpunk. Like,
good.
Just give it a day.
Yeah.
Go back to it tomorrow.
Did you promise that it was going to be Cyberpunk?
Yeah.
Okay. So it has to be Cyberpunk.
Yeah, and also I do want to, for a while I've always been interested by Cyberpunk, and that just Night City and the aesthetic of the whole world. I do like the Cyberpunk genre. So like, okay, I can make. Now, also, I haven't seen nighttime yet in Cyberpunk. This might be a big deal. I've only seen the city during the day, and it goes like, and a pretty boring looking city.
Yeah.
So maybe once I finally
get, that's what you.
Yeah, once I get to a nighttime and I can wander around, and you got all those neon signs being reflected in the puddles and stuff, I'm like, okay, that might be better.
Yeah, definitely. So all your fans have a lot to look forward to. Speaking of YouTube workflows, I spent the last 2 weeks being more active on YouTube than I have ever been.
I saw you're getting after it.
Yeah, I put more effort into it. I made thumbnails, like decent ones. My compilation of super old videos followed by, I mean, the saga that I've been discussing here is that I completed a Let's Play in 2024 that I started in 2008. I compiled all of those Let's Play parts together and uploaded it, and it was my most successful video ever. So,
yep,
that's cool. Like, I don't know, I made a thumbnail for it, and I don't know. So it seems like I'm onto something here. I don't know. I'm gonna keep going with it. I've got Resident Evil cooking. I've got Tomb Raider cooking. I'm gonna start doing Tomb Raider. I got live streams coming back up here soon. I'm going to start maybe uploading some old archives of live streams, and even I was considering doing some more scripted content as well, which is, scripted, edited, like video essay style stuff, because that's something I'm interested in. And once the algorithm kind of establishes who I am, I think there's no reason I can't start jumping into that stuff. And yeah, things are going all right over there. If you're interested, go check it out. You're probably watching it on my channel anyway, or watching this. So. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at one of the comments, YouTube recommended it to some guy.
Yeah, like that was like my favorite one. It's like YouTube recommended this to me and I love it. Like, perfect. Sell it. Yes, I'm going to just take that and put it on every thumbnail. I'm going to make a t-shirt out of it because it was exactly what I was hoping for. Is that someone saw a value that didn't already know me. And that's great. Mm-hmm. So slowly but surely building up my audience. And maybe one day, Adam, I will be worthy enough to collaborate with you.
Well, you could do it now, but I kind of like to play solo.
Yeah, arguably, we're collaborating right now.
Yeah. All you do is ask.
But pretty soon, right now, you're a special guest host. Like you're like a get. But pretty soon, maybe we will just be.
Oh yeah, as in Randy does all the work. I just show up.
Well, yeah, but you're a celebrity, so it's like it's okay. Your presence validates this. Yeah. So you want to get into the meat? Want to talk some games? All right, so like we're going to talk about our runner-ups and our number one most anticipated games for 2025. If you're interested, I want to hear what your most anticipated games for 2025 are. Leave them in the comments. Share, like, do all that stuff. I'm a content creator. I got to say that, so... All right, Adam, I want to hear your runner-up for your most anticipated game of 2025.
My runner-up is Death Stranding 2.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. There's a guy called Hideo Kojima or
Never
Kojima.
Heard of him.
Yeah, he's just a kooky Japanese guy. So after finishing Death Stranding, like I mentioned earlier, it is unlike anything I've played before.
And that includes Metal Gear Solid.
Oh yeah, I would say this is better than Metal Gear Solid 4 and 5.
All right. That's bold claims.
Yeah. Well, easy to be better than 5. 5 is a bit of a disjointed mess towards the end.
Heck of a game.
4 has some great moments, but I think... I would say Death Stranding's ending is not the best. I think it was overly long. But up until then, it has this great sense of momentum, and there are big stakes, like world-ending stakes, cool characters. And I loved reading all the emails from people, and they're discussing the Death Stranding and extinction events, and I'm like, this is all so cool to me.
Say what you will about. Again, I hesitate to say just Hideo Kojima. I mean, he is a large part of the direction of that game and that series, but a lot of people worked on those games. But for now, let's just for shorthand say Hideo Kojima Productions. Let's say that Kojima Productions. Let's say that their games, like say what you will, they go for it. They don't care what you think or what the trends are. It always surprises me that Metal Gear Solid is as successful as it is, because those games are weird. They're not just straight military things. They're strange. Like, there's a lot going on there.
And the weird thing is, it kept selling more and more. So, as in, like, Metal Gear Solid 2 sold more than 1, and
if
3
you're
sold
playing
more
2,
than 2.
And if you're playing 2 without playing 1, you are lost. So that's very weird. And then 4, if you're playing 4 and none of the others, I don't even know what you're doing.
I started with 3, and even I was going like, wow, this is a bit odd. And then the next one I played was 4, and I was like, it looks pretty.
I was thinking about, and I might still, but I was thinking about using MGS1 as a YouTube video for me, and I kept thinking, but that can't. They're talking a whole lot. Like, before you even start, they're talking for a very, very long time, and I'm just sitting there thinking, how can I talk? How am I supposed to get a word in if they're just going to keep talking? I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure I can figure it out. I'm pretty good at that sort of thing, but yeah, and it's not like I can pause the game and say, like, all right, let's ponder what was just said. They throw it at you. They waste no time. Yeah. But that's one of the most successful games in the history of mankind. And it's one of the most successful series ever. Yeah. And there's just so much.
Metal Gear Solid 5 sold more than even 4. Well, I suppose Metal Gear Solid 5 is multi-platform. That helped.
Right. And you think about the most successful games ever, like Mario, super accessible. Anyone can play it. Minecraft, colorful, creative, not a lot of talking, just get in and start messing around. Metal Gear Solid is not that. The man just doesn't care, and I think there's authenticity behind what he does, and they do, and I think that comes through. People are just like, man, I don't understand half of what you're saying. I kind of don't care because you're going for it, and that just resonates with me.
Yeah. And Death Stranding is like that, but he got to shed all the baggage. Like, here's something brand new.
Brand new. Norman Reedus. Nude. Get your...
A lot. I give him plenty of showers. He gets pretty dirty out there in America, so I did shower him a lot.
Norman Reedus, if you're listening, apologies in advance. He kind of always looks dirty. Isn't that kind of just his look? That's kind of his thing, right?
It's the really bad facial hair. He can't grow facial hair, unfortunately.
But on purpose. Like, his hair. I mean, my facial hair is not amazing, and my hair is scraggly too. But I look cleaner than he does. Like, I look more kempt.
I know, Randy. You look cleaner than Norman Reedus, but you don't look exactly clean. That beard could do a bit of a trimming.
Yeah, no, it definitely could. And yes, we're grading on a curve here. There,
okay.
Relatively speaking. But yeah, I don't know. It's just you got every role that I've ever seen him in. He's like the slimy, just like or dirty greaser guy. He's just, I don't even if he shaved and trimmed his hair, I'm not sure. I just think that's just how he looks.
You could never imagine him in a suit in an office.
If he was a wrestler, I could. If he was a pro wrestler, you could see him as part of like a stable. And just be like, this is him trying to clean up, but he can't because he's the dirty one.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to use cutlery yet.
Yes, we're going to teach him. We got to teach him how to be white collar. Yeah, perfect. But yeah, I don't know. I like Death Stranding's existence. I haven't played it, but the idea that, he figured out how to make a game control. They figured out how to make a game control well. And then they said, all right, let's throw all of that out and do a new control scheme that's very weird, and it's going to alienate a lot of people.
But I would say you can still feel some of the controls from like Metal Gear Solid 4, especially 5. Like, you can feel the fingerprints of that onto the way you move around Norman Reedus' character. But unfortunately, because he every footstep matters, it's so difficult. Now I'm over into Cyberpunk, where you're first person, you're just floating. This is so
you look
weird.
Down, have you looked down?
No, I don't.
You do have legs.
Okay, good.
They're not abiding by the laws of what legs do, but they're there if you want to look at them.
It's just weird. I went from every step I take mattering and like, oh, there's a rock, I'll go around. Now I'm just gliding around Night City, and it's like, this feels weird.
So weird that I'm going to bring this up, but Tomb Raider, I'm playing the very first Tomb Raider. I'm playing that. I'm playing the remastered collection, and I kind of came into the same thing. Like, every step I make is important.
Yeah.
It's not easy to move, and one wrong step could kill me.
Yeah,
and that's cool.
Someone's got to position yourself and like, I got to do a backflip for this one, and if you miss, Lara's taking a tumble and might not get up.
And this is, I'm gonna tie this into Death Stranding because I think it applies here too. But the idea that movement is a skill that you learn, not just because in most games today, like, you're just the most agile, nimble, responsive possible thing, right? In most games today. Back then, no, you're going to learn how to move this character. People in real life can't move that well. So that's what we're going to try to do here. We're going to design challenges around that. And I think Death Stranding is somewhat old school in that way. It's very similar, where it's like the challenge is moving. It's just controlling your character is part of the challenge. And I think that's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
And it makes the accomplishment so much more, I don't know, fulfilling, I guess. Cause,
as in, when there's a couple of moments in Death Stranding when you take on a mission, and it's like, and you actually do have to scale up a thing, and you come across those kind of creatures. They're called BTs, which stands for beached things. Wonderful. You come across those and you gotta like avoid them or scale around them, or you might get caught a little bit, or once you get grenades you can use those, or you can use stuff to kind of ward them off. But when you deliver the power, like, you feel like you've achieved something. All you've done is went from here to here, A to B, and you feel like it's an accomplishment. Whereas in most games, like, just drive there or just make it easy on yourself. And even then, when you can build roads in Death Stranding, but it takes an effort to build them. Yeah. So then when you do later deliveries and getting from A to B is now much easier, like, I fucking earned this.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
I built this road. I'm going to take advantage of it. So, yeah.
Heck yeah, that's great. Easy. Oh, man, that makes me want to play it. But I'm stuck playing old games right now. Gosh darn it.
Unfortunately, Death Stranding has kind of ruined the movement in a lot of games for me.
Including Cyberpunk.
Yeah, first person now is just like, I'm floating.
What if it was first person, but you also had similar movement to Death Stranding?
You couldn't see the legs. It wouldn't work.
That's true. Yeah. There's an argument to be made that first person is more immersive, but at the same time, as a human being, I can see more than what a first person game can present to me. So I feel like third person is somewhat of a trade-off, where it's like, okay, third person is just the game's way of saying I have peripheral vision, more or less.
Yeah, I kind of like the angle of Resident Evil 4 and Dead Space, in particular Dead Space, because it's like that over the shoulder. I think that's the happy medium. There's some sections in Dead Space 2 in particular when you go into kind of a living area with people there, or they used to live there. That feels like I'm in the space. Yeah. And it's not kind of like the camera's, I'm in the space, but I still have my character to feel easier to move around.
Definitely. So that's Resident Evil does that really well in general, even the modern ones. And I think there is something psychological about that, where I'm really, really close to the character, that I'm kind of feeling what he or she is feeling. And in Resident Evil 2, the remake for 2, when you're playing and you're over the shoulder, it's really close. When you get caught by a zombie, it zooms in even closer. You still see like the head a little bit, but you're really zoned in on the face as it's going like, and it bites into you, and it's like, oh my goodness, this is wildly uncomfortable. And that's by design, and it's perfect. And so a lot of games do that. When Batman Arkham Asylum does that, where most of the time it's over Batman's shoulder, but whenever you need to maneuver well or fight, it pulls out, and it's like, okay, now you're Batman. You're like you were Batman intimately, and now you get to do what you can see, what Batman can see. You can sense what he sees. God of War does it as well. The most recent God of War games, they very close over the shoulder, but when stuff's popping off, pull it out. Like, all right, like so a really good balance, I think, between immersion and readability.
Yeah, and even in Death Stranding, when you start boosting in your vehicle, the camera pulls out. or you're driving normal speed. Now you're boosting. Pull out a bit.
Yeah, so in Cyberpunk, I don't know if you have driven a car yet.
I have. It's awful.
You can switch to third person.
Oh, how?
I don't remember. You're playing on controller, I'm assuming. I don't remember off the top of my head, but there is an icon near the bottom that tells you how to change the view. Do it immediately.
I will. Okay, perfect. Yeah, the first person doesn't really work for a car because
awful.
You know, as a human being, I've way more.
Yes, I check mirrors. I know. At these days, I got a camera on the dash that shows me what's behind me. Like, I
will give Cyberpunk a credit for something. The settings that they have, you can customize.
Oh yeah,
everything.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, as in like when you shoot an enemy and the damage points come up on top of their head, like in Borderlands, I went, oh, I don't really like that.
Yeah.
Turns out you can turn it off.
Turn it off.
I didn't like that you have a mini map and you also have the objective on the screen.
Yeah.
Like, go meet this character. Like, they're here, but they're also up here in your mini map. It's like, I don't need both. Take it off the screen.
Yeah.
It's like, you can do that too.
Well,
like, everything is customized.
We will definitely revisit Cyberpunk because there's a lot I have to say about it. I hope you give it. I hope you're going to stick with it. I hope it clicks with you a little bit better because I do think there's a lot of cool stuff there. And if you meet it on its own terms, I think you're going to enjoy it a lot better.
Yeah.
Immediately turn on that third person driving camera, please.
Yeah, and I think also, just going from Death Stranding to that, the following day was like, a clash. I should take in a day or two. Completely different movement style, completely different. Everything's different.
And also,
it's got this.
I played the game. I'm playing Cyberpunk less as a movement-based game and more of a puzzle game. I'm treating every encounter as how can I get through without shooting people, without setting off the alarm, without doing that stuff. And to me, I'm having a lot more fun doing that than I would if I just grabbed a gun and ran in.
Yeah, I found the gunplay is a bit lacking punch, and the melee combat is pretty bad. So I would like to kind of pursue the kind of hacking and stealth more.
Yep.
That might be more interesting.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. And there's a lot. It's Deus Ex in its ability to, like, levels have multiple ways in and out, and
okay,
and it aligns with your skills and stuff like that. So I think you'll get there. I think there's a lot of cool stuff there.
I think my head wasn't ready to take on a whole new, very in-depth world. I was like, characters were talking to me, and I was just glazing over, like, what do you talk? I'm still thinking about what happened at the end of Death Stranding. I'm like, okay, let's go in now. I feel a bit fresh.
One day is not enough to come down from Death Stranding. So tell me about why I know you liked Death Stranding 1. Obviously, you liked Death Stranding 1, but is there something about Death Stranding 1 that left you wanting more? Is there something that looks appealing about Death Stranding 2? Do you just want to play that kind of game again? Like, tell me about it.
It's more batshit insanity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I watched the trailer for Death Stranding 2 before even playing Death Stranding 1.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what it's about.
Yeah, it's
brilliant.
I'm worried because I don't want to get too. It is ridiculous in a good way, I think. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. But the guitar weapon thing. Yeah. I'm sitting there thinking, is that too much? Maybe. No, I don't know.
Nope.
I'm not sure.
Nope. If anything, this is like,
it's not
okay,
enough.
We set the foundations with the first one. Now let's get a bit more.
That's a really good point. If you're saying like they made it, they held back for the first one to ease people in, and now they're like, okay, gloves are off, guys. You're in. You're either in or you're not, and we no longer care.
Well, I was thinking with the first one that you've got to build out so many systems and how the game's gonna, like, you spend years just on that. Like, how do we make it feel good? And then how do we incorporate this story in and how we do this? And then, okay, now we have everything set up. Now we can get a bit deeper.
Does the narrative lend itself to a continuation?
Yes.
Is it? It's okay. I don't want you to spoil it or anything, but so let me think about what else I was going to ask. Yeah, because
it's not like at the end everybody dies and there's no more and there's no threads to follow. It's like no, there's ways you can go about it.
Based on what we talked about for Metal Gear Solid, they clearly don't care if people had played the previous ones or not. They're just going to do what they're going to do. and it seems to work for them. However, would you? How much?
I don't think you'll need to play the first one.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah, like how much do you think?
I think if you can just understand the basic concept of humanity had a terrible event, and now we're all disconnected, and we're trying to connect.
So the first one concludes well enough that this next one could be a story that stands on its own.
I think if you just have with what I said, if you get that explained to you, I think that because stuff is thrown at you in Death Stranding 1, which you might go, what the fuck is that about? And then you read some email and go like, oh, okay, I guess that was. So I imagine the second will be similar. Like, why does he have that thing? I was like, he just does. Like, you meet a character called Die Hard Man, and you go like,
he likes Die Hard.
His name is actually John McClane.
No, it is not.
It is.
No.
I gotta check. I gotta double check.
You've got to double check that. I can't move on with my life if that's accurate. This is a pivotal moment in my life. If you tell me that that's true, we may have to end the podcast.
Die Hard Man.
I can't believe that.
Die Hard Man, born John Blake McClane.
Stop it now. Is that even allowed? Can they do that? I'm going to make a character called Batman Man, and he's going to be Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, just all the names and stuff. And like, that.
So, yeah, but again, like it goes back to the like, we don't care. We don't care what you think. This is authentic. I like Die Hard, and I want to make Die Hard Man.
Yeah, so there is a reason in the story why he's Die Hard Man.
Of course there is. Yes.
Yeah, it's not just that his name is John McClane.
The fact that they explain it is even better. That's even better. All right, you're selling.
It's a really pivotal moment to his character of why he's called Die Hard Man, which you think is just the dumbest thing.
Can I change my most anticipated game now? Because wow, I don't. Again, I'm so ambivalent to that. I can't decide if that's amazing or the worst thing ever. And in some ways, that is probably a good sign, where it's like, this is either the worst thing I've ever heard or the best thing I ever heard. There's nothing in the middle. There's no middle ground here in either of these games, in any of their games. There's nothing in the middle.
Yeah.
They don't care about balance.
No, not at all.
And that's, there's something to be said for that. Oh man, that's insane. All right, I don't know if we can continue talking about Death Stranding 2 after.
No, we'll go over to you. What's your runner up?
My runner up, Doom: The Dark Ages, is my second most anticipated game of 2025. I loved Doom 2016. I love Doom, the franchise. I love all of those games to varying degrees. Even Doom 3. Everyone doesn't like Doom 3. I like Doom 3. And the idea of it being medieval / fantasy / sword and dragons, but Doom, that's an incredible concept. It's like, what if you played Dungeons and Dragons, but it was Doom instead? And I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm curious how they're going to do that with the different weapon sets, and because Doom has always been about very fast, again, with the exception of Doom 3, very fast movement. Enemy prioritization, barely. If we're talking about movement, you move in Doom, like they very, very quickly, and it's always ranged weapons for the most part. You get the chainsaw or whatever, and how that played into the last couple games was really cool, but you're mostly just shooting. In the Dark Ages, as far as I know, they did not have guns. Now, I wasn't born yet, but I can only go on the word of historians. However, I do not think they had too many projectile weapons. Definitely not ballistic ones. And I'm very curious how they're going to make a gameplay loop out of that, considering what Doom means, without it losing its identity, because that's kind of what Doom is about. So, but based on the last couple games alone, I am very, very intrigued to...
Have they released a trailer for this yet?
Yes. There is. It is crazy. I recommend checking it out. When they showed it, part of me was thinking it was Quake, because I'm like, this doesn't look enough like Doom, but then it was Doom. I'm like, oh, okay. Clearly, you know what is more successful. We put the Doom label on. We could put Quake on this, but we're gonna put the Doom label on this, and also the narrative was actually pretty decent in the past 2 games. It was all just like small cutscenes and like flavor text, but it still kind of came together in a fun way. They didn't take it too seriously, so that was good. And there was something about in 2016 and then what was it, 2020 when Doom Eternal came out, something like that, and something about having floating power-ups in a modern AAA game like that just speaks to me. It's like, yes, you are making a video game and you're not hiding it. You are going to give me health and armor and ammo and power-ups. Like, there's no narrative reason for there to be a power-up that increases my damage. We're not going to explain it. There it is, floating in the middle of the room. You don't need to know. It's a video game. It's a video game, that's why. But it doesn't, and there's an argument to be made. I would argue this, actually, that if you set up your rules well enough, it doesn't make it less immersive. And I think Doom strikes a really good balance of, again, it feels authentic, where we're going to set up this world, this universe, and the rules that you are going to use when inhabiting this universe. And guess what? There's a power-up that increases your damage and your speed, and it makes you invincible for some reason. Don't know why it's here. We're not going to... Not sure who put it there. Not sure why it floats around like that. It doesn't matter. And... Yeah.
I'm got the trailer in the background. I'm just looking at it. So it's like medieval, completely changed up everything.
Yes.
And you have a shield.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And you can fire the shield. The shield comes back to you like
That's
Dark
crazy.
Sector. Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah. Have you been exposed to the recent Doom games or any Doom at all?
I've played the reboot, and I was kind of like, I had my fill after that. I didn't want to play Eternal. I was like, I'm okay. I Doom was enough for me.
Yeah.
This looks pretty epic.
Yeah, so Doom Eternal, I
thought... You fly a dragon? Sorry, that's the end of the trailer.
Yes.
Fly a dragon.
So you understand why this might be approaching my list of top anticipated games for 2025, because it just looks so crazy in a different way than Death Stranding. Just like, what is the most over the top thing that we could possibly do in this thing that's already pretty over the top?
Yeah.
And metal, like, it's just grungy and dark and now apparently gothic, and the soundtrack is just crunchy and distorted in an amazing way, and it's just awesome. Yeah. I'd sometimes pull up the soundtrack for the recent Dooms and listen to those, because they rip and tear, as they would say.
Have you yes, was Doom Eternal your game of that year?
I don't remember what came out that year. I would say no, actually, because Doom Eternal, it came out when I was it was too much for my mental state at the time, and this was not a fault of the game, but it was just so frantic and so much, and I was going through some stuff the time that it came out where I'm just like, I cannot handle this right now, and I do want to get back to it. I played through like half of it maybe, and I did enjoy it. Like I said, not a fault of the game, but so was it my game of the year? It could be if I thought about it. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure what came out that year.
Did you finish it?
I did not yet. So that's why I hesitate to say that yes, it was exactly my game of the year.
So then you're like, forget it. This one's a whole new thing. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Let me see what came out that year. Doom Eternal release.
Was that 2020 or 2021?
It was 2020. So I think Last of Us Part 2 came out that year, didn't it?
Ghost of Tsushima came out that year.
Last of Us, Ori, which I really liked a lot. Probably more than Doom Eternal, so there's that for you. Resident Evil 3, which was not as good as 2. Assassin's Creed, which who cares? Gesundheit. Astro's Playroom came out that year, which might be up there. Streets of Rage 4. Yeah, there was some good stuff that year. So, short answer, no, but it could have been if I was in a better state of mind. If that makes sense.
Yeah. world collapsing and all that.
Yeah.
Pretty dour mood.
Yeah, I mean, it was less the tone and more just how much it was too stimulating. It was so fast and frantic and stressful, like by design. And you're supposed to always be thinking. It's like, man, I don't know if I have the mental energy to do this right now. Yeah. And I just had to put it down. Again, I feel bad. It's as if I hurt its feelings. But yeah, I have a long relationship with those games. Doom. I remember, so starting with Wolfenstein, actually, I was the first time I played a computer game where I went into my stepfather's place of work, and they had Wolfenstein on their computer. Don't ask me why, but they did, and I played that, and I'm like, this is blowing my mind, and I cannot believe what I am experiencing here. And Doom was already out at that point, so it was just a natural transition to, all right, I'm gonna have to try to figure out how to get a hold of one of these.
So did you, was your mind blown when you played Doom 3 for the first time?
Yes. Because graphically, it looks all right now, but back then it was mind-blowing, the graphics.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I actually had a PC that could run a game. It was Doom 3 when that came out. And that was a good year for it because Half-Life 2 also around the same time. And and I had a PC that could run both, and I'm like, yes, I have made it. And I just love, and I played through Doom 1 and 2 on stream. Those are in, if you're interested in seeing me do that, on my YouTube channel under the live tab. The entire playthroughs are there. And those games are still awesome. Like the design of them there, and the flow of, you enter a room, there's a certain combination of enemies and hazards, and you have to prioritize which one you're going to tackle first, in what order, and the reflexes you got to use to pull them off. How am I going to do it? And it's super fast, but it's fair. It's not, all the information is laid out for you. It's easily digestible. It's an amazing game. And Doom 1 and Doom 2, because Doom 2 is pretty much the same thing. And Doom 2016 iterated on that in a really interesting and fun modern way. And I'm very curious what they're going to do with Doom the Dark Ages. Yeah.
Looks promising.
Yeah, and the legacy there too, because people are still making mods and maps for Doom 1. And that game, was it 1993 that game came out? You know like that it's everlasting at that point if the design is so strong that people can still make stuff for it today and have it feel relevant and fresh. So, and it's all within the parameters of the game for the most part, right? That the tools that are there, that, hey, you're going to use this door and this key and this weapon and this enemy, and you're going to compile them together in such a way that makes it feel unique. Very, very cool. I'm looking forward to that. But Adam, what's your number one? Drum roll.
Oh, I don't know. Drum. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Well, Judas, of course. Ken Levine is back.
I becoming.
Sure.
Judas in my mind.
Yes. Good old Chris Jericho.
Yeah, so let's talk about Judas, and I guess why, because I also am pretty excited about Judas.
The weird thing is I have nothing to really talk about because I watched about 20 seconds of one trailer and went, yeah, that's enough.
You could have, again, how much did BioShock mean to you as a human being?
Oh, a lot. It's one of my favorite games. And then
right.
Similar thing to BioShock Infinite with another masterpiece. I was like, yeah, once I saw like, oh, cool, we're doing this again. Sweet. And
right.
Levine, been working on it for like, okay, yeah.
Yes.
Sold.
So you didn't need to watch the trailer is my point.
I just wanted to see, what do we do and what's the gameplay and what's the perspective? What is the general aesthetic?
Yeah.
And I was like, tick, tick, tick. Yep, this is sold.
But the conversation is about how BioShock made us excited for Judas, because we're not excited for Judas on paper. If Judas came out in a world where there was no BioShock,
I think it would still do well.
It would do well, but we wouldn't be as excited for it, right?
No, but then it could be its own BioShock.
It
right?
could, yeah. And it could surprise us. But now the expectations are somewhat higher.
Yeah, and if anything, it would probably be way more refined than BioShock.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah.
So the conversation is really what is so unique and special about BioShock that is making you, and to a lesser extent me, very excited about Judas.
BioShock created a world unlike anything else.
Yeah.
Which, as you dig deeper and deeper, becomes only more interesting. The more you play it, the more you notice. Them audio logs are actually really worth your time.
Which is
fleshing out everything.
An underrated, innovative. I don't want to say innovative because I know other games have done it, but that was really when every other game started doing that. Was you're going to be listening to the story while you're playing the game, and that's cool.
Yep,
it's a little contrived in the sense that why are these people stopping to record their thoughts?
Why did they do a voice recording about them being killed? Yes,
but Dead Space did it immediately afterwards. A ton of games afterwards, and they still do it to this day. There's still Cyberpunk does similar stuff, and I think it's largely a positive. And I'm making a game, and there's the philosophy of we're going to give you the story while you're moving around is partially inspired by BioShock, partially inspired by Half-Life as well, and it's really cool. But yeah, the world, and for me, even the way that it's a story that can only be told as a video game, and that was like the first time I ever felt that.
Yep.
Where it's like, oh, this doesn't work without my input. This doesn't have the same impact without me feeling like I have agency, even though I kind of don't, and that's kind of the point.
Yeah, and even if you could imagine it as some high budget movie, and if you could match the visuals and get the similar feeling, but like you mentioned, the agency of noticing the way things are written on walls, or like you say, finding an audio log and then listening to it, or finding a safe, or going down some corridor and there's a splicer waiting for you, or stumbling upon a moment with splicers, that lady, the silhouette of her in her pram, pushing a pram.
Yeah.
Like that works because it's you finding it. It wouldn't work if you're watching another character do it. So yeah, it's special.
Yeah.
It only works as a game.
And the twist, which is it okay to talk about the twist? Almost
BioShock.
Yeah, of what, 8 years later at this point?
What's the twist of BioShock?
The twist of BioShock, the would you kindly?
Oh, yeah,
the twist. Yeah. Well, yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so ubiquitous at this point that you probably don't even consider it a twist anymore, but it was a twist at the time.
It was a big twist.
That twist doesn't matter in a movie. It doesn't work in a movie. It's not a thing that you just can't have it, period. It doesn't work. So you'd have to come up with a different twist. And
yeah,
that was when it blew my mind, where I'm like, oh, it made me feel like I had control, but it didn't. It's like commentating on the fact that you don't actually want control, or you feel like you have control when you don't. It's like a pretty deep message, especially in 2007, when games were not doing that. Games were not asking these questions. They were not raising these points. It was insane. I remember very clearly experiencing that for the first time and being like, oh, interesting. Very, very cool. So cool. And then the game is also pretty fun. Like it's a little clunky, but the powers, like the way that they work with each other, and the electrifying a pool of water and killing enemies that way, or the the 1-2 punch of the the wrench, was it you use a wrench, right?
Shock 'em and the wrench.
Yes. And also the way that, and I didn't like this at the time, but in retrospect I appreciate it, the Vita chambers, is that what they're called, the things that revive you? You want to talk about immersion. I can't die in the narrative, right? When I die, there's a slight consequence, but that's not what it's about. It's about the narrative and feeling immersed in this world. And if I died, hit a loading screen, and loaded back, it would have taken me out of it. And at the time, I didn't like it, because I'm like, this game's too easy. I can just go and I can wrench this big daddy to death.
Yep.
But in retrospect, yeah, that makes perfect sense, and that's why they did it. It was an intentional choice.
There would have been an unfortunate reality of that first Big Daddy might have been a roadblock for a lot of players.
Yeah.
It's like, you try 3 or 4 times, like, forget this. It's hard enough. It's already a very kind of dour world and a bit oppressive. Like, all right, here's the nice little out. So you can keep progressing.
There was a time, so that was around the time Fable 2 was coming out. I think Fable 2 came out a year later, and they also had a similar idea that, hey, you're the main character. Main characters can't die. So we have to find a new way to punish you. And Dark Souls kind of, I guess Demon Souls, when that first came out, kind of just figured it out, right? Where it's like, okay, you don't, quote unquote, die. You're like reborn as a different, thing, and you can, and the rules of the world says like, okay, well, you're like reincarnated in a weird way, or you're undead or some kind of reason, and then you go back and you get your life back, and you're not technically dying to the point where you're rewriting the story. The world still exists even if you perish, and you just continue on with the world that's still there. Whereas in most games you die and it's just like, we are resetting because that was the wrong ending. we have to go back and rewind and say like, in fact, have you played Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time? Okay, so if you die, it goes to a game over screen where he's like, no, wait, that's not how it happened. And which is smart in one way, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But either way, it was them trying to say like, okay, that isn't how this story is supposed to be told, and we're going to say that I guess I flubbed telling this story and I'm going to retell it. So that's a very interesting way. We've been trying to tackle this problem for a long time in the games world, and I still don't think we necessarily have it locked down. Still, most games are just like, you die, you go back to a checkpoint. I don't know. It is very interesting. BioShock did a lot, and that was a very foundational year, or I guess time for games. That's when narrative started really kicking off. It's like, okay, this doesn't have to be, super over the top melodramatic stuff. We can have some pretty deep, complex conversations around this stuff.
Yep. I'm very excited to see what's not only from the gameplay perspective, but what type of weird world is going to be created in Judas. Something completely different. Very excited.
And also, allegedly, it's going to be very non-linear in terms of a narrative.
Oh yeah, we talked about the narrative Legos. Are we sure if he's actually putting that into place?
That's what he said. I think.
In Judas. He's doing this in Judas?
I'm pretty sure that's the point. See, now you're skeptical. Okay. Are you skeptical now?
Yeah. It might be terrible in practice. This is why I've been working on it for 9 years.
It could be. I haven't played it yet. I don't even remember what the game is called, but there's a game that kind of does a narrative Legos thing. Apparently it was really well received. I wish I remember the name of it off the top of my head. Yeah.
I'm just hoping Judas isn't some 40-hour long game.
Yeah, well, so also I'm pretty sure it is roguelike-esque. It is run-based, I believe.
Why are you doing this to me, Randy?
I'm just telling you the facts, Adam. I'm not trying to undersell you on the...
Can I switch Death Stranding 2 to my most anticipated?
Yes, you could. You can. I think that's fair. Now, keep in mind, I don't know how much of that is actually, it's not like I've been following it that long. It's just through brief description. Maybe it's not that run-based. Maybe it is run-based in the same way that BioShock is somewhat run-based in the sense that you revive when you die. And you run back to where you were. Maybe it's like that. I don't know. Maybe the narrative is just like, did you play Middle Earth, the Middle Earth games?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's like that. Maybe it's just characters that just remember your name and come back and call you out, but the beat-to-beat plot points are the same.
We can hope.
I'm actually impressed that, well, not impressed because I guess it was patented, but the fact that there hasn't been another game like Middle Earth, because that was such a cool...
that patent. Yeah, that patent. Terrible thing.
It was a bummer. But yeah. So BioShock, did you like BioShock 2 at all? You mentioned Infinite.
I like, well, it's not a Ken Levine game. But BioShock 2 is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
The Decay of Rapture looks better in BioShock 2, especially on PC. It looks really good.
Yeah, I need to revisit all of those games. I really liked them at the time. And
Bioshock 2 will have stuff like, I don't know, kind of sea, I don't know, like oysters or whatever those things, barnacles. They have them growing on the walls
yeah,
in some of the rooms. Like, that's so cool.
that's so cool. One of my favorite aesthetics is when nature wins.
Yeah.
Like nature versus man, and nature is taking back. That's like because at some point, if we were to stop building right now, everything that has been built will be destroyed.
Yeah, that's some of the nice parts
eventually.
of Horizon Zero Dawn or some of those.
The Last of Us.
Oh yeah, or The Last of Us, Journey to the West.
Yeah.
The one with Andy Serkins. That's another cool thing. Like nature's taken over.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's a cool
All right,
aesthetic.
that's my most anticipated. What is your most anticipated?
All right, so I went back and forth on this because one isn't confirmed to exist, and one, but it has to. I'll get to it in a second. And the other is confirmed to exist, but might not come out in 2025. But I couldn't.
One Silk Song?
One is Silk Song, Hollow Knight Silk Song, and
I know you well.
And it is not confirmed for 2025, but it has to, right? It's been so long.
I know. What are they doing over there?
What are they doing? I mean, I get it. They're trying to follow up Hollow Knight. That's tough. You got to make sure it's killer. But man, we don't even know when it's coming out. We don't have a vague idea when it's coming out. But I just, in my heart of hearts, have to believe.
How many years ago was it announced?
Announced. I don't actually know.
Is it more than 5?
It was 6 years ago, almost exactly. Announced.
Yeah.
Like shown gameplay 6 years ago. So
yeah. What happened?
Well, they're a small team. They're clearly dealing with scope creep a little bit in the sense that they're trying to follow up to Hollow Knight, which was a massive success. And they probably want to make sure it's going to live up to the expectations while also not burning out their budget, because at the end of the day, money is finite. And if they hire up, if they just get an entire enormous team of people, then they're ripping through money. I know,
but my thing is, they announced and actually showed gameplay, and people went, "That looks incredible."
Yep, just give it to me now.
Why then another? Do you know any other games where they've actually showed what looks like almost final gameplay, and then stay away for another half decade? Like,
Duke Nukem Forever, I guess, kinda.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Just a unique
there's
situation.
There's a couple, but this one is gonna come out and it's gonna be good, and that's, I guess, the difference between most of these things.
Yeah,
is that we are fairly confident that they know what they're doing and they're going to make it good again. But
have they showed anything else other than that initial gameplay?
No. Yes, they did. Well, no. They just did another gameplay trailer like in 2021 or something like that.
Oh.
It was in the Xbox showcase of all things too. Just randomly out of nowhere. Hey, just a reminder, we're still making this, and then it's been radio silent.
Internally, they were thinking releasing it the following year.
Probably.
So what's happened? And
well,
I'd love to know what.
It seems like there's a deal in place with Microsoft, maybe implying a Game Pass thing, but the Game Pass landscape has changed quite a bit since then. So who knows what that even looks like anymore? And yeah, but think about it from, this could backfire, but think about it from a hype point of view. This isn't losing hype. It's just getting more. Every time there's a new showcase event, like a Nintendo Direct or a PlayStation, whatever, State of Play.
Yeah.
It trends. It's like, all right, this is it, guys. This is when we're going to find out. This is it. And then it doesn't happen. It's like, all right, next time. And it just builds and builds and builds. And eventually, in theory, it's going to blow up.
In theory.
And then the game could come out and be mediocre, in which case, oops. But no, I'm fairly confident it's going to be really good. I loved the first Hollow Knight. I discovered it much later than when it was released. I think I got it in October of 2020, I believe. So pandemic, autumn, leaves on the ground, dark, early, nice, moody, atmospheric kind of thing, but also some really tight gameplay, super smart level design. There's a hidden depth to the narrative that I just barely scratched the surface of. I would need to go back and even brush up on a lot of it because there's so much there. And it's like 30 hours long. It is insane how long it is.
I felt like a thief when I got it on sale for about €8, which is about $10. And it was the Void Heart edition, which had even more stuff in it. And I was like, I was 35 hours. Like,
you committed a crime.
Bad. Yeah, this is bad.
It's like, do they know what they're doing here? Just complete ridiculous value in that game, and really, really engaged with that thing. And I'm looking forward to the next one because they clearly had a vision. They knew what worked for that type of game, and they did it better than anybody else. I would argue, better than a lot of, or maybe all of the AAA people that have tried to do similar style games. And every time another one of those games comes out and it's good, it's like my favorite thing. Like Prince of Persia last year was amazing. I really liked it. And man, just getting the best people to do it again, I'm ready. Just give it to me.
So I'm curious, what's the other one that doesn't exist or should exist? Or
a 3D Mario.
Oh yes, for the Switch too.
Yeah, presumably that's coming. Yeah, and I would presume with the Switch too.
Yeah, I think there was an initial announcement or some sort of leak about what the
leaks probably
was going to be.
Yeah, leaks probably true.
Yeah, another Mario Kart.
Ugh, no, I don't need that. But yeah, Super Mario Odyssey was one of my favorite things to exist, and I want them to do that again, or even expand more on that formula.
So, okay, yeah, I'm just checking. The only first-party game confirmed that there will be a new Mario Kart launched with it. In fact, I watched the
wait, what does that even mean?
Announcement thing. I don't know, Mario Kart 9 or 10, whatever they want to call it.
Or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. They don't need to make another Mario Kart.
Even in the rumored launch titles, there's the Master Chief Collection. So
I could see it.
What
Why
are
not?
your thoughts on Xbox becoming a third-party publisher?
What are my thoughts?
A bajillion dollars trying to acquire all these studios to make games for Game Pass.
All right, so I guess I think we talked about our anticipated games. If you want to talk about other things as we tail off, we can do that. So let's pivot into that because that's an interesting discussion where I think it's overdue. At the same time, they're in the most impossible spot anyone could possibly be in when they have millions of people still that are in their ecosystem. They can't just abandon them, right? So they need to give them hardware for them to continue to play their games. Or else they just have said, okay, you've invested in us over the past 2 decades or more, and sorry, it's not worth our time anymore. It's not worth our money anymore. At the same time, if they're going to release all of their games on everything else, what incentive is there to buy that thing? Because that thing's not going to get God of War. The Xbox will not get God of War. It will not get Horizon. It will not get Last of Us, Uncharted, whatever that new, I already forgot the name of it, Intergalactic, I think it was called, the new Naughty Dog thing. It's not going to get Ghost of Tsushima or its sequel. It's not going to, ever. So, because they don't need to do that. And what incentive does someone have to buy it? And you can't get rid of your Xbox, because if you've been buying digital games all this time, those are stuck on your Xbox. Unless, and this is where I'm going to start speculating about craziness. What if they make a deal with the other companies and say, okay, you can sign into Xbox on these other consoles?
I think they'd have to we already know PlayStation aren't the best when it comes to all that sort of
true.
stuff. So they were like, fuck, we barely have our own thing running. Never mind getting your thing running as well.
There's a world where they say, hey, if you want Call of Duty, you do this.
There is.
It's not soon. I don't think it's soon.
I think PlayStation would have the leverage and be like, listen, we don't care.
I don't know.
Need us more than
the whole lawsuit was about specifically Call of Duty. It was like, we're PlayStation and we don't like this acquisition that Xbox is making to acquire Activision because we still want Call of Duty.
Yes, I think that if they were to make Call of Duty exclusive, it would be such a tremendous amount of bad will because the majority of the players are on PlayStation.
I agree.
The amount of like whoever that poor intern who has to manage their Twitter account, that will be so bad.
Right.
And just you wonder like, and then Activision are a money making company. They'd be like, where's the money? And Xbox are owned by Microsoft, and Microsoft like money. They don't get to be a multi-trillion-dollar company without making money.
So here's what they probably have to do, because you're right. There's a lot of bad will here, and they could get some irreparable bad will if they do the wrong move. They can't not release hardware. I think that has to happen for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Because they cannot alienate the tens, if not hundreds of millions of people that are still in their ecosystem. You know, regardless, they're in third place, but there's still a lot of people playing those things.
I'd say so long as it's still profitable, they'll continue. But I imagine the next console cycle, they release a console that will be sold for profit.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
And they really won't, like, if they sell 10 million units or they sell 5 million units, as long as they just don't lose money on it. And people might eventually like, okay, I'll leave my digital library alone and then transition them, but I don't think they'll ban them outright and say this is the last one.
Is exactly what I think. Exactly. Where they are going to release a piece of hardware. It's going to be outrageously expensive because they are not going to sell that thing at a loss. And every single one of those that sells is going to put some money in their pocket. And that is the balance, right? Like, it's there if people want to stay in their ecosystem, but also a much lower risk in the sense that they don't need to get the masses anymore.
Alternative strategy.
Yep.
If I'm feeling like swinging for the fences and I'm head of Xbox, I say, Phil, you're out on your ass. Gamers, all those studios we bought, the Activisions, the Bethesdas, everything is exclusive to Xbox. And here's our new console, and it's $600, and it's going to be cool. It's going to run all the nice games, and everything's exclusive, and you can go fuck yourself if you don't like it. If you want to play Call of Duty, you gotta be here.
There is a world.
Take the brunt of it, and just don't care. And then after, like, win the next generation.
I think that is the second most likely scenario, if I'm being honest, because how much bad will would they earn to make it so it hurts their profits too much? Not that much. You know, if they say if they do what you just suggested they do, or speculated that they would do, and they release an Xbox and say, this is the only place you can get dozens of your favorite games. They're going to sell Xboxes. They are going to sell a lot of Xboxes, and people are going to be mad. But
and I would go a step further. I would take them down from every other store that is not on Xbox. Like all those Indiana Jones coming to PS5, take it down.
Or take it down.
Take it down.
You get to keep it if you bought it, but you're not gonna be able to buy it again.
Yeah. Also, they're not going on PC either. They're literally just going to this console. This day and day release with PC, that's over. That's gone as well. If you want, you buy our box, and then you get everything.
Yes, my name is Mr. Xbox, and I don't know if you remember, but we own the biggest game ever, and that is Minecraft, and we're going to remove that from everything that is not an Xbox.
Yep. I would go full. Maybe this is the cyberpunk in me rubbing off. I picked Corpo as my starting thing.
I think
that'd be fun.
Yeah,
Turns out it's just the same as everything else.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be kind of the oppressive boot, just crushing people and be like, listen, I am a multi-millionaire thinking I'm all that and I'm the head of Xbox and I'm just going to piss off everyone, but I'm going to win.
They got a lot of goodwill back with Phil Spencer. But if they
now
just want to go...
Now, look at the state of their company now.
Yeah.
Huh?
Look what Goodwill has done for them. Nothing.
Nice guys finished last, Randy. Come on,
Goodwill
be an asshole.
Goodwill does not fill my bathtub full of diamonds. It doesn't.
Yeah.
So,
listen, did anyone like Jim Ryan? No,
but he got stuff done.
Did he win the console war? Sure.
He got stuff done. And then he got out before any of the bad stuff started happening.
Yeah.
Like when they were going to release a too expensive PS5, when the whole thing with Helldivers and the account syncing thing started going on. There was some bad vibes around Sony, and Jim Ryan parachuted out of that sinking or that falling plane before any of the. He looks like a hero. Like he walked in there. He's like, all right, I'm winning this, and then I'm leaving. Good for Jim Ryan.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, he was a longtime employee. He wasn't just a guy that showed up, but still.
Yeah, but nobody liked him.
Yeah,
so,
that is incredible. The idea that Xbox could do that, and yeah.
So here's what Xbox need. Xbox need not an Xbox employee. They need a Microsoft employee.
Yes.
Drag Bill Gates' ancient ass out of bed. All right, that he loves a good Monopoly. He does.
Oh, he sure does.
So get him involved and let him be the ruthless guy that was being sued by everyone back in the 90s.
Well, I mean, even what is it, Satya Nadella? That's his name, right? The current Microsoft guy. He likes him. I think Microsoft just likes monopolies. I think that's just kind of their thing.
Yeah.
When I was working back when that was a thing, I worked with so many people that were in companies that were purchased by Microsoft. You don't even hear about most of them because they just do it.
Yeah.
Because they say like, oh, a couple million here, tens of million there, maybe $1 billion over here. No one talks about it because they are just an unlimited pool of money that they can just say, well, you're in danger of doing something we're not, so we have to buy you and either absorb you into what we're already doing or shut you down entirely.
Yeah. So who's the head of Microsoft again? Sanjit?
Satya Nadella is his name. Is Microsoft.
Satya Nadella. I'm going to call him Naddy.
Yeah,
right? Naddy needs to saunter into Microsoft and be like, all right, so what's going on here? What's happening? Well, we have all these studios, yes, and we have Call of Duty. Oh, I know that one. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah, and we have, Minecraft. Oh, my niece loves that one. Yeah, very good. Yeah. And we bought them. Oh, that was a big investment. And we put them on everything else. I'm like, why would you do that? No, that's stupid idea. Stupid idea. We own it. It stays with us. That's the point of owning it. All right, take them all back. Take them all back. Take them all back. This is Microsoft. The M stands for Monopoly. Come on. Ethos here.
And the S is a $sign.
Yes.
Monopoly $sign.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
This
I love it.
Do.
I love it. Yeah. So that's Microsoft. So to answer your question, what do I think is most likely is I think they release a box. They still continue to put their games on everything else because that's currently where the most money, while hand in hand with goodwill, is. And
that's loser mentality.
It's still
loser
mentality. but that's what they're gonna do, I think. Because the other route is that they're just Amazon and everyone hates them, but they use them anyway.
Yeah.
Which I guess that's a fair outcome for them if they want it.
Do you think Jeff Bezos cares?
I don't know. I don't know if we can joke about Jeff Bezos yet.
Oh, sorry. I can joke about Jeff Bezos.
You can say whatever you want about Jeff Bezos. But he and I are
that
best
reptile
friends.
cares?
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. So just to recap, our most anticipated games, I'm not sure what yours are anymore. Your runner-up
My most anticipated game is the game of Nadi coming and restoring balance to the the true ways of Microsoft in Xbox.
Well, I also really took the wind out of your sails when it comes to Judas. So is that?
Oh yeah,
maybe
Death Stranding is not my most anticipated.
All right, so it's either his Adam McDermott's most anticipated games in order from least to most. for 2025 is the following. Either Death Stranding 2 or Judas. And either
Yeah.
Judas or Death Stranding 2.
And then Randy's would be Doom, The Dark Ages, and Silk Song, which is definitely coming out.
Yes, Hollow Knight, Silk Song, with a side note of maybe a Mario. If Mario was confirmed, it would be Mario, but it's not. So,
yeah.
But neither is Silk Song, so who knows? Adam, you got anything else? What's going on with you?
I really want.
Yeah, your face looks nice.
This is a pitch to all the fine folks at Microsoft, and in particular Xbox. Let me be in charge for 1 year. Come on.
Well, this is the most popular podcast on planet Earth, so the message is going to get there. It's going to get there.
I will be the asshole just for shits and giggles.
At some point, once you're rich enough, who cares?
Once I'm going to wear a suit, black tie, black shirts, shoes that have been polished by Syrian refugees.
What color?
You know, just because I want to be as evil as possible.
What color are the shoes?
Oh, black.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a hat?
Of course.
Bowler hat? Yeah.
Ooh, a hat. Like, what would be a bowler hat? Might be the way to go.
Yeah.
Or I could go full, like, fedora.
Yeah.
You know, what's the fedora with the kind of the white, like a black fedora with the kind of the white trim around the thing? Like, real kind of 1950s gang. You know what? Bugsy Malone. I want to dress like Bugsy Malone.
Or
1950s gangster.
Or Judge Doom from Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be perfect. All right, I'm on board. Adam for Microsoft CEO. Is this an elected position, or how does this work?
And then after the year, I can go like, I'm only joking.
It's like, we hear you. We've heard you.
Joking.
Yes.
Everything was only a 1 year timed exclusive. We were only joking.
Yeah. So it looks like a little shorter one today, but that's okay. We had a good time. Yeah. Is there anything coming up that you want people to know about? I know we talked about a lot of it already.
No. I'd say what we could do is for the next one at the very end of it, we could talk about wrestling. Because we just talked about wrestling at the beginning of it.
We did. We save it to the end just to get people like, all right, this is your time. Well, we could just like end the podcast naturally and then say, oh, stay tuned after the outro.
Yeah.
If you want wrestling.
If you want like wrestling talk, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. That's not a bad idea. Yeah. Not sure what next week's topic is going to be. Leave a comment if you want us to talk about something specific, but otherwise I'll have to think about it. Check out Adam's channel at Adam McDermott on YouTube. Lots of good stuff there. Lots of good stuff coming up. Check out my channel if you're already watching it. It's at Randy Fluharty on YouTube. Check that out. And lots of good stuff coming. There's a new Resident Evil Let's Play happening, as well as more of those going to happen, and a Tomb Raider Let's Play that is currently cooking. It's happening as well, and pretty soon live streams are coming back, so be on the lookout for that. Other than that, Adam, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.
All right, so again, leave a comment with anything that you want to talk about, either this week that we've already discussed or next week about the particular topic, and do all the algorithm stuff, and I will be back with Adam in 2 weeks' time, which just so happens to be the 30th of January. I'm pretty sure I hit the music already, but if I didn't, I'm going to do it now.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.